Daniel Moran.
All right, here he comes. We're really going to talk after this is over, okay?
Thanks, guys. Thank you all for having me. My name's Ryan. Really, my superpower at the end of the day is sitting down with entrepreneurs who have an idea or who have a product and creating a plan to get that to the $1 million level, and then taking those profits and investing them so they're in passive income sources so that they can do what they want. I own capitalism.com. I purchased that at the end of last year. We're building that out. It launches in July, and I bought that because I believe very strongly that entrepreneurs are how we facilitate all of the change that we want to see in the world. I think government is terrible at creating change. I think that the fact that we default to government as the solution to most of our problems is a strategy, and a really bad one. And that we can do it a lot faster if we just had entrepreneurs who are willing to take risks and solve problems on their own. Now, I am not against government programs, for example, if they were effective. I want people to be wealthy and healthy and happy and free and rich to their greatest capacity. I want people to have health care. I want people to have access to clean water. I think we all want those things. I think we'd have a much healthier political debate if we started on that ground, that we all really want the same things. What we're really arguing about is how we're going to get there. It's my opinion that the way that we get there is by having entrepreneurs willing to take risks and willing to do things profitably so they can invest in cooler things. I'm not asking you to agree with me, but that's what I believe, and that's why I do what I do. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who come with an idea. They have a product, they have a service, they have an idea, and we like to call it the golden turd. They've been polishing it and polishing it and polishing it forever, and they're wondering why no one shows up. And this is where we start to move levers and push buttons in order to make things happen. So what I'd like to do in the few minutes that we have together is kind of walk you through the levers that you would pull. If you wanted to double your business in 90 days or so, what levers would you pull? What buttons would you push? I'm of the opinion that 90 days is about the sprint that we need in order to be able to accomplish just about anything we want, any major change that we want. In 90 days, you can radically change your body, you can radically change your family, you can radically change your business, whatever you want. I walk through an exercise with some of our workshop students where we come up with different categories in our life: your body, your relationships, the way you spend your time, and what daily habit are we going to do for the next 90 days to just completely do something radical. And somebody said once, they're like, I would really like to meet a girl. I'd really like to be in a relationship, but I really can't make that happen in 90 days. And I said, okay, what if every day for the 90 days you randomly went up to some cute girl on the street and asked for her number? If we did that every day, do we put ourselves in a pretty good position to strike gold once? Once out of 90, could we do it? And there's this immediate, all right, so if we made something a habit, we could really create just about any breakthrough that we wanted. Recently in our company, we decided we wanted to build a much bigger audience. I'll talk about that, why, because I think that's the first lever. I think that's the first leverage point, your audience. And so I made a commitment to make a video on social media every day in hopes that we'd strike gold once. And we started having a couple videos that would get 50,000 views. We thought we were pretty cool. 60,000 views, we think we're pretty cool. And then one day, kind of on a whim, we called it the tax rant video. It was just, I needed to get my daily video out. So I did this rant about how much tax I paid, because it was April 14th, I think, when I posted it, and I sent the check in to the government to go fund something I don't agree with. And the video 5 days later had 1.6 million views. And I went, I've been doing something wrong for the last 10 years as an entrepreneur. But really what that happened was that because I was I was so passionate in the video? Maybe. Was it because I was so handsome? Probably. Was it because actually, if you do something for long enough, if you practice some habit long enough, there's a good chance that one of those creates a major leap in your business. There's a great book by Jeff Olson. It's called The Slight Edge. He makes this argument that our lives are not done in large, he calls them quantum leaps. The results that we get aren't the result of large, big jumps that happen in our life, in our business, anything. They happen as the result of little things that are done every single day that create those quantum leaps. That there's a myth in the belief that there are big things that happen outside of our control, and that creates the momentum that we want to see in our lives or in our business. But in reality, it is small habits that stack on top of one another until fire strikes. So what I want to give you is just, if I were starting a business or when I'm advising one of our students, what we look for and what levers we push. The first one is your audience. When I say audience, what I really mean is who shows up when you say something. Who can you impact at the click of a button? There's this story that changed my life because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I don't even remember the investor. I don't remember if it was Ray Dalio or who. But there was a story a few years ago that a famed investor, was it Carl Icahn maybe, tweeted that Apple stock was undervalued and that he had just bought a bunch. And Apple stock rocketed up because this investor had said, I think this stock is undervalued. No data, no nothing, just this stock I think is undervalued. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. If I tweet Apple stock is undervalued, nobody cares. If you tweet that Chevron's undervalued, does anybody care? But this investor tweets Apple. Everybody knows Apple's cash rich. Apple's got a strong dividend now. But investor says it's undervalued, goes way up. Why? Power of an audience. Why did Donald Trump win? You think if any old billionaire with bad hair got up and started saying the things that he said, anybody would listen? No, you'd think that he had been on 6th Street for too long. You'd think that some crazy dude is walking around on E. I mean, like it would have no traction. Why did he get traction? He started with an audience. Because when he says something, there's already a core group of people that listen. If you connect with those people strongly enough, they will share the rest of your message. When I posted this video I called it the tax rant video, I got a few people who didn't like me very much. But the 30%, the 40%, I shoot for 30% of people that really, really resonated, shared it everywhere. It started getting posted on podcast groups. It started getting picked up by news sites. It was the #1 trending article on observer.com. It started going crazy viral. Why? Because I spoke to a very specific audience. When you speak in your business, who listens? Who shows up? A few years ago, I had a small yoga products company with a buddy of mine, and I work with a lot of physical products owners who have small businesses where they develop physical products. We usually use Amazon to leverage that as the first sales channel, use those customers to try and create noise in other marketplaces. And one of the things that I noticed that a lot of people at that time a few years ago were really struggling with was I worked so hard to create this product, but when I put this product out into the marketplace, nobody shows up. What do I do now? What the heck do I do to get the lift? What do I do to get this moving? So we just decided we would put together our own little community of people who did yoga. We created a Facebook page. This is when Facebook pages were new. We called it I Love Yoga. We started running $5 a day campaigns to people who said that they liked yoga on Facebook. It's built up a little community of 3,000 to 5,000 people. Cost us a couple $100 to do it. Now we had an audience that we could launch to. We started putting inspirational content out, just sharing other people's content. Then we took pieces of our product, features of our product, benefits of our product, started getting people rallying behind talking about this product. We did a little giveaway of our product to get people talking about it to our own audience, not somebody else's audience, not on my personal Facebook page, on a group that was filled with people who are our exact target market. Release it to the audience, put it on the map. We scaled that business by using those types of audiences, sold that business. This is one of the biggest differences that I've seen in companies that I advise that succeed and those who fail. Ryan talked about having your why. He talked about, do your customers know why you exist? When you have a community that rallies behind why you exist and not just what you do, you become a price setter rather than just a price taker in the marketplace. You no longer have competition. You no longer have people nipping at your heels because you control the audience. Really, at the end of the day, the audience is just your distribution. And if you control the distribution, you control everything. Every entrepreneur in the world right now wants distribution. They want their products syndicated out. They want to be in Walmart. They want to be on Amazon. They want to be featured on whatever YouTube channel is hot. Does anybody know the story of Onnit? The Onnit nutrition company, they're based here in Austin. I think about a $40 million plus company. Nobody knows the story of Onnit? Started by a guy named Aubrey. Came up with a product, a cognitive enhancer. We now call them nootropics. He had a friend. Anybody know that friend's name? Friend's name was Joe Rogan. And he had Joe try the product. And he's like, Joe, I'll give you a piece of this company if you just start talking about it on your show. Didn't have any customers, didn't have any leverage, didn't have really any assets. He's like, Joe, talk about my product, please. I know you tried it, I know you like it. I think there might have been some discussion about formulating it together. Would you please talk about it on your podcast? Sold out. Oh, I guess we're going to have to ramp up operations. Hey, we got stock again. Joe, can you talk about it on your podcast? Yeah, sold out. That company is now a $40 million a year plus company. Now, why? What put them on the map? There's 1,000 nootropics out there, especially now. If you ask any brain scientist or any nutrition nerd, if you look at the formulations, they're fine, but they're not any like set the world on fire compared to their competition. What did they have differently? They had an audience. On the other side, Joe Rogan got a huge equity piece in this now multi-million-dollar company. Why? For talking about it to his audience. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And yet we as entrepreneurs worry about what did that customer say, who are we upsetting, when in reality we could do a whole lot more damage if we just worried about how many eyeballs can we get in front of. So what constitutes an audience? Email list, Instagram followers, Pinterest followers, podcast listeners, blog readers, Facebook followers. I limit myself to 3. I mostly do Facebook, email, and podcasting. Flirt around a little bit with YouTube. Only reason is because if I focus on any more than 3, all I would be doing is playing around on the internet all day. Whatever you're comfortable with. If you're a photographer, you don't need to be launching a podcast. You don't need to be on YouTube. Spend the time, spend the money to put your stuff where your audience is already hanging out. Because you don't even need to build it from scratch. They're already out there. There's a cajillion Facebook groups, Facebook audiences, custom audiences. Anybody know the story of Shreds? Shreds is another company I find really interesting. They basically paid a bunch of attractive models to start wearing their shirts and talking about their supplements, and they blew up. You can't find them in retail stores. They're astronomically priced. They're crappy products. 2 weeks ago, there was a news report that came out. There was some leaked photoshopping in a lot of the models' photos. They're not anybody's favorite. We tried to hire a couple people from them just to find out what their what their process was. And they were like, and every single person we talked to said, not leaving, not a chance I'm leaving. That's really interesting. Started deconstructing this. Why does nobody want to leave this company? And why do they have so many people that hate them, but yet just enough people to be a really successful business? Why? They speak to a very specific audience. They're not speaking to anybody except who their exact target market is, and that's the guy who follows these hot models, buys the supplements either for himself or for his girlfriend. That's who their audience is, and they speak exactly to that. And I don't know if you know this, there's plenty of those people out there. That is the first lever. Who listens when you say something? Who shows up? Who on demand shows up to read your stuff, to listen to your stuff? Because if you don't have that in place, you are playing naked. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if you're a retail store. I don't care if you sell on Amazon. I don't care if you're a photographer. I don't care if you are just getting started. If you have no one who listens when you say something, when you put something out into the marketplace, then you have nothing to launch off of. Great way to get started. Duplicate what Ryan Dice said. Put advertising to really good content, retarget them. We do this where our strategy basically is we throw a lot at the wall, do a lot of content. We'll do Facebook video. We'll do podcasts. The ones that really resonate with the audience, those are the ones that we'll advertise. So there's no need to advertise the ones that aren't resonating. It's the ones that are really killing it that we need to advertise because those are the ones going to bring a lot of followers with them. Now, the whole point of having an audience, the whole point of having people that you can talk to that show up is so you can monetize them, right? 3 ways that you can make more money in your business. They are turn more leads, more audience members, more eyeballs into customers. So more sales into customers. That's the first one. Number 2, increase the frequency with which they buy. And number 3, increase your fees, increase your price. All things equal, what's the fastest way to grow revenue? Raise your price, right? I mean, if it didn't impact sales, if it didn't impact anything else, if you could just raise price, that would increase revenue, right? So does anyone here have a really high, ridiculous, expensive offer that they know is only for 10% of their customers? 1 of you, 2 of you, cool. The rest of you, put that in your 90-day plan. First part of your 90-day plan, do something every day. Slight edge something to build up the eyeballs that are going to see you over the next 90 days. Something, some piece of content, some new ad. It is worth spending the time and money to be in front of your target audience in order to build up that base. Number 2, add in an expensive, high-end piece that is only going to matter, is only going to be relevant for 10% of those people. At the end of last year, we considered removing this from our business. We were talking about taking out our highest-end piece. To be honest with you, I just wasn't enjoying it at the time. And then we got a thank you card from somebody in the mail. And it was somebody who was not in our most expensive program, but they came to one of our workshops, had a great time, felt like they were served, and they said, "It's my personal goal to get into your most expensive program." Wow. That's interesting. Now, why? This person started as an audience member. This person started by resonating with what we represent, with what we believe in, with who we are as a company, with who we serve. They started coming through some of our lower-end stuff. They became a recurring customer, and it made their goal to write us a check for $25,000 when they were ready. Wow. I didn't even have to sell it. I didn't even know she knew it existed. I barely advertise it. But this person wrote me a note. It's my personal goal to write you a check because I will see it as an accomplishment. So I go in reverse order. Raise your prices. Find something that you can add to the back end of your funnel. Next piece, increase the frequency with which you make offers. Meaning, how often do you make offers? Only when you want to make money. There's people who ask me, how often should I email my list? As often as you want to make money. How often should I put up a blog post with really good content, link it over to a sales page, link it over to my speaking page, my offer page? I don't know. How often do you want to make money? The frequency with offers. And the final is how many of those audience members can you turn into customers? But first you have to have the audience there, and that's where your emphasis should be. My name is Ryan Moran. My website is soon-to-be-capitalism.com. Thank you all for having me.